The WinStar. Well, a lot of my ships, like I say, going from ancient days on into nowadays, as many people know, Starline, my company, we operated steam and sail ships. In fact, my steam and sail ships were some of the most popular and the best, most efficient ships of all, basically, because the steam power provided heat and warmth, and also hot water and hot showers and everything, as well as as well as power when under sail. I mean, when wind conditions were not optimal. So, I believe most of my ships could cruise about 8 knots or so, or 12 knots under power, and then a little bit faster with sails or something like that. Anyway, a lot of people be like, Brian, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, like I said, I was a very, very, very wealthy, rich man. That's why I had a slate yard and a Belfast shipyard and everything else, and why I was able to afford being able to build Panama, as well as all my trainways. Like I said, a lot of people tried to say Carnegie this, blah, 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 that, trying to shift it. Winchester. You mean Chester? Like I said, Chester or Checker. Winch, Chester, Checker. You know, all these people, like I said, realistically, it was the government. At the point in time, I believe, where everything went wrong was somewhere around JFK. Like I said, and plus some of my board members. Anyway, though, like I said, my company was very, very massive and very, very large. World Shipping Company. Like I said, that's one of the things that the White Star or civilian rental submarines were trying to take out were all my ships. In back in in 1960 or 1940, that's what JFK and Jimmy Carter and Richard Nixon, what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut me off financially. The only thing is that with shipyards all around the world, it was kind of hard to know exactly which shipyards were mine, which shipyards weren't, because I had literally owned them so long. So just like which factories were mine and which factories weren't, because I had owned these factories so long, and I had been always been building new factories. And in fact, like I said, somewhere around Germany, I actually had people go to a giant hall, um, and those with that were married or with family or with children would get preference, and we would basically be building them a shop or building them someplace where they could make their living, and as well as, you know, I would put up the money for the tools and everything else like that, and then they would just pay me back. Anyway, and I think I was granting them like $100 or three or five or $1,000 each or something like that, or $5,000 each, something like that. Basically, to pay for their what's called their their place in a new city. Basically, a shop would be built and they could work at the shop basically, and eventually pay me back or whatever. Yeah, it didn't really matter. And over time, I figured over 2 or 3 generations. I don't know. I forget exactly what the details were, but you know, and like I said, with a lot of these people, I could think like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 generations down the line. Didn't really matter. So, anyway, that's why later on I was saying to people, these people do not work for you. They work for me. They do not follow orders from you. These people work for me. Like I said, the United States Congress, the Republicans and Democrats were trying to, and realistically, they just were basically wandering around, just basically forcing people, whatever. Anyway, like I said, they had no right. They had no, they were not me. They had no relation to White Star Lines or my company or my people. Like I said, the Irish had more right than anyone else, or some of the other groups. All had worked and all had basically served and all had, whatever. Anyway, that's why I got pissed off, and I was like, you don't have any right. You can't tell these people what to do. Just like Bill Gates. He doesn't really have any money. I'm pretty sure he basically just edited in a bunch of zeros next to his father's name. Anyway, like I said, he might have found a way into the bank things. He's not a rich man. He never had any money at all. In fact, he's poor. Very poor. And so is his father. Anyway, whatever. Just like Kennedy. They don't have any money. They're poor. They were always poor. Well, they got some, I believe they were one of the families that I picked to go live in a town and work. Anyway. There are all these people around. They didn't have any money. Just like the Bushes. George W. Bush. They didn't have any money. The whole family's poor. They're broke. You know, the only money they have is basically the money that they got through stealing. Or basically forcing people by gunpoint. Just like the Hells Angels. They have a little more right than most people. The head family of the Hells Angels or whatever. One of the very, very old people. Like I said, he was one of the people who negotiated with Germany, and I allowed him to have a motorcycle thing. And given the right circumstances, you know. And I also let him produce some motorcycles in America. You know, using some of my engines. So, anyway, if they had done it right. But then again, like I said, he found himself in a war between him and Nixon, I guess. So, anyway. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. It's like whatever. With my drugs alone, I could have been a rich man. But I didn't really need drugs. And drugs are, you know, whatever. I cared more about my seagoing ships. And that's where it gets fuzzy too, is all these people, there's all these people like trying to basically anyway, living aboard my ships and using my ships and stuff like that. Like I said, the people who built my ships, who actually worked on my ships, they had a right to go on my ships. And I allowed them to be able to sail anywhere they wanted. Basically. As crew or whatever. But like I said, there was all these congressmen, all these other people that were trying to... They're poor. Their only thing was they were in my military or they were in my government. And they found themselves in a position to do something. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because, like I say, whole world, and I was the most rich person. I was just basically letting a lot of my workers just play around. There's all kinds of things, and basically everything was fine, so... Anyway, a few people would get a little confused about things, though. Finding themselves in a position where they could do some things. And like I said, the only thing was I was still alive. And the only thing is, too, is that there's a lot of other life forms in the universe. Like I say, there are life forms in the universe that could grab you and your mind and basically play with you like a toy. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, doesn't really matter to me. I mean, hell, like I said, with 3 or 4 JFKs running around, taking over whole cities, they were placing bets and basically having little mock wars, basically having people go kill themselves out in battlefields, just for fun, just because they could. Like I said, there were 3 Kennedys, and one Kennedy would attack the other Kennedy city, and they would laugh. 2 of they were clones. They're all pretending to be the same person. Or some variant of the same person. There's all these people running around, lying about everything. Whatever. Like I said, later on, one particularly sick motherfucker would basically force a bunch of Chinese women to basically have sex with him before he would shoot them in the head and kill them. Then, of course, there's all the women where they would make the women beg for their lives, have sex with them, and then shoot the daughter or the wife first, or the mother first, and record it, audio. This is what happens when you just start playing around and you go, oh, I can get away with this, so I'm just going to do it. How far do you go? Well, pretty far. Next thing you know, there's all these people that everyone thinks are good, and they're actually the worst people in the whole universe, or the whole planet Earth. Oh well. Whatever. As Nixon would say, or they would say, well, the cat's away, the mice will play. Meaning me. You should really know who you vote for. Or whatever. Before you let them into a position of power. Lessons to be learned. Like Bill Gates' Zachary. Took a gun, shoved it inside a girl's vagina, and pulled the trigger. Pretty sure. It's been quite a bit of money trying to cover that up. 20, 30 years later, he was trying to kill off all the Irish or Scottish police officers that had been there that night. During a 17 to 48 hour teletype room hostage situation. Oh well. It's just sad, really. Meanwhile, JFK and a bunch of other people are thinking, nobody's watching the Earth. Nobody's paying attention to you. No, not at all. Like I said, Rodney and Rick Bush are like, well, we'll just get in position, in power, and then we'll be the only ones watching. Oh. 12 life form types, the oldest in the universe, having existed since before humanity was ever created or ever in the universe. Yeah, so they have like a billion-year head start on you. Technology-wise. Had. Still have, probably. And then some idiot starts thinking, well, if only we can control them. And like I say, it's technically my fault because I created you. Like, I don't know what to say. We're speechless. And then you start trying to kill me. Whatever. Like I said, I kind of wish I was dead just so I could say I wasn't around epic stupid. Putting me up on war crimes and charges. I mean, it worked out for me. Like I said, I'm 100 trillion years old. I don't even care. Why the fuck would I care? I am more epic than epic throughout the universe. I actually have owned one of the first and oldest colony ships. I think it's the oldest. Like I said, you don't even have it on record. Great big 2,700 foot long colony ship, 1,200 foot wide, and you know nothing about it. Whatever. At least you know White Star Lines. Of course, you don't know it's my name. Lusifer, White Star Line. Then Rodney's running around. It's like, wow. Wow, amazing. Right in front of me and everything.